is a very important occasion today because it is about ensuring that we have a repository from which to draw very vital data which is instrumental in terms of our planning processes.
As we discussed this morning and observed this launch of the National Strategic Hub led by our department, contextually, I would like to borrow words from one of the greatest theoreticians that has ever existed as part of the family of humanity, Karl Marx. He once said in this context, I open quote, "The general social and economic knowledge has become a direct force of production," close quote. This quotation above underscores the significance of big data analytics. Hence, we are meeting here today to launch a knowledge hub from which knowledge-based productive forces in our country would impact both society and societal development as we move into the future based on the current decisions and the planning processes that we are undertaking, informed by current and concrete data available to all of us as agents of change located in all spheres of government.
The National Strategic Hub is a country's single source of truth. It's not COGTA's single source of truth, but it's all of society and all of government's single source of truth. We want to position data as critical infrastructure and a strategic asset to improve governance, operational efficiencies, and service delivery in local government. There's massive amounts of money that are paid by the state to procure services, tools, and infrastructure that directly or indirectly, inadvertently or advertently collect data. That data tells us about the future of where we're going and where we come from, and Dr. Masemola, you've already articulated that perfectly. As I did indicate, I would like to go through a timeline. So this timeline begins, and I'm glad that colleagues from eThekwini are here. It begins in eThekwini's BRICS Urbanization Summit that was hosted by COGTA. Minister Nkadimeng sees some of the work that we had been doing in eThekwini, comes very close in disrupting my umshado because I was on leave. Requests that I return so that we can present the work that we were doing, and the question was, why are we not doing this at national level? So we hit the call. Didi Jinjangana, CEO of Salga, supported the POC and the development of the proof of concept with some brilliant people from KZN. Dr. Ndlovu, thank you for borrowing us your resource, because we are pretty broke. There will be food though, I hope. Then the POC first iterations are done. Then we get a national level buy-in with a lot of political championship from the former minister of COGTA. This work is then presented at the PCC, the President Coordinating Committee, which the President gets excited about. He requests that it be taken to Cabinet. We take it to Cabinet. Then we get a mandate at Cabinet to take it forward. And this is part of the mandate and us fulfilling that mandate, ministers. We start the process of redefining the DDM because we wanted to anchor this within the DDM process so that we can talk to the issue of institutionalization of the National Strategic Hub. We start a very lengthy process of recruiting staff through means that the DG, the ministers have made available to us as COCTA to get people that will otherwise not be in government to work with us in government. The change of political leadership means that we bring it back to Minister Velenkosi Hlabisa. Minister, your acceptance and endorsement of the National Strategic Hub at the very beginning gave us a lot of hope and propelled us to this day, and you gave us this day to come and launch, and we had no other option but to come and launch and not embarrass you, and we hope today we're not going to embarrass you. In fact, we promise, we don't hope. If anything, we're going to get you extremely excited about what we do.
Ladies and gentlemen, I greet you. Today marks a significant milestone in our shared mission to transform municipalities into effective engines of national development. I am therefore honored to stand before you as we launch the National Strategic Hub, a bold initiative that positions data as the catalyst for making every municipality work. At COCTA, we recognize that without accurate, timely, and reliable data, the government cannot function efficiently. We are all witnesses of projects that were undertaken without sufficient information, get completed, but could not deliver what was intended for. Especially those of us who are councillors or were councillors, we know a lot of projects where millions of rands were invested and water could not come out at the end of the day. Or the projects, one completed, collapses thereafter. And you know, the sufficient information was not there when the project was undertaken. Data is a cornerstone of planning, decision-making, and service delivery. It ensures that no municipality is left behind, guiding us in our mission to improve lives in every corner of this nation. Effective governance starts with the ability to make informed decisions. All municipal planning must be anchored on reliable data. That is the reliable data that empowers us to deliver better services, track our progress, and continuously refine our efforts. Data transforms our approach from being reactionary to anticipatory, enabling us to make proactive decisions.
We battle with this concept of one source of truth because you can have multiple sources of truth, but we want to have, or multiple sources of data and statistics, but we want to be able to say, this is the one we're talking about. And Sandile used that example of the murder rates because this was the one I was absolutely terrified about. You can take any data on murders and it's what you divide it by. That's going to give you your rate. So what population do you use? And if we're all using the same population number, we all come out with the same rate.
As comms, we then have to step in and say, what products are needed to make sure that when you have to make these decisions, they're communicated in a way that it's easy for you to access.
I think it's very clear to us as the Strat Hub that our efficacy and our sustained efforts and offering rely deeply on collaboration.
CETA is mandated to process transversal data, which means it's data that is shared amongst various government institutions. But most importantly is how we also work with partners like yourselves, the corporates, is how we work with other agencies of government to ensure that the data is brought in together.
So I think one of the most important things is the fact that data is not an IT conversation. It's a business conversation, but it's about achieving business objectives.
What's important for that roadmap for CSIR is to have longer-term relationships with particular departments so that they can understand the need of the departments over the longer term, which can feed into the strategy of the groups that have particular focus. And then that relationship gets built to ensure that these elements that I've just mentioned, that gets managed in a proactive way.
The VCP is a project run by GIZ and many South African partners. Basically, it's about preventing violence in local communities. And part of VCP is strengthening local communities. And this is how we actually also discovered that data topic, exploring its importance to influence and improve decision-making and on local level.
I think we want to bring the element that is probably the critical one. It's the citizens. The citizen is at home, is sitting at home, and they need to be able to reach us. And obviously through the DDM process in KZN, the reaching was through war rooms, which is physical, but we also had spoken of a virtual reach, which means our citizens should be able to engage with us and reach us, and we generate the data. At the end of the day, I need to know the most vulnerable person is the one who's not going to leave the home. They can't because they are not able to. They don't have the resources to be able to do that. And we see this, especially from a data perspective, and the collaboration between government, private, our own bilaterals in terms of the support, is saying how do we make that real for a citizen who's sitting in Nkandla? And I think that is the critical point in terms of the work we are trying to do.